And Willie, let me show you something new today. I learned how to, because like when we are doing the live stream, everything's so close because of wires and whatnot. So I was thinking, hey Rick, good to see you. How you been? Thank you so much for coming by. Everything's so close. All the cameras are really close to the work area. But I did find a solution where I'll be able to maybe do a projection in one of the live streams, or maybe work on how I do the masonite on the boards, which is going to be very exciting. But anyway, let me go ahead and show you my new camera. It's going to be pretty cool. Actually, new camera angle. Let's see. So right here, I have this camera angle. I was able to get an extension cord, which is really cool. Let me make sure the sound is good here. Okay, so now you'll be able to hear me. So I was able to get an extension cord for my USB. And so what that does is I can take something like my USB webcam and actually move it around the studio, do different things like that, which is really fantastic. So this is pretty cool. I'll be able to move around the studio and do a projection. All different things I think is going to be really great in opening things up. And I got a lot of other ideas for the future. So what do you guys think of that other camera? So let me know what you think of that other camera. Anyway, so here we are at the final moments of the live stream, which is really fantastic. Now, are you guys seeing? So someone give a message, because I'm not sure if the live. Okay, great. Oh, Willie says I have the best live streams. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. Always worried about technical issues. That's the one thing, working by myself. That's the hard thing. But you guys are always so patient with me. Wendy, good to see you. And Lance, how are you? Great to see you, sir. How great. It's always great to see Wendy. Wendy, Rick's here. How cool is that? So here we are. Remember, I always start with a lighter mixture going into it. But I've been airbrushing all day, like 8 hours today. Not on this piece, but on other pieces. And I'll tell you, I'm as warmed up as I'm going to get. But when you are working on something to start the day, you haven't airbrushed, I want you to always go ahead and start with the 3-to-3 mixture. 3 drops of Higgins India Ink to 3 full eyedroppers of water. But right now I'm doing a 2-to-1. 2 eyedrops of India Ink to 1 full eyedrop of water, because we are in the dark stage here. Not almost at the point where we're doing the dark highlights. Dark accents. But as always, this is the payoff day. Paris, great to see you. How are you? So fantastic. James, good to see you, my friend. How are you? So I have that darker mixture right now. And what I'm doing right now is pretty much hitting some of those dark accents. I wouldn't actually say accents at this point. I would probably say just really making those really darks the value they need to be. Because remember, we worked on this, right? We work up to this. Let me take my glasses off. So that's what we're doing right now. Sort of the payoff day. This is what, part 4? Of this series, part 4, part 5, I'm not sure. But I know this is the end of this particular portrait. So as you can see, I'm moving around. And let's see if I can get the best angle for you guys. There we go. And right now it's really time to hit those darks. And what that's going to do is going to bring our midtones alive. So before, now as you can see by adding these darks, how everything else is really starting to pop. Paris says, portrait looks great. If it were me, would call it quits before messing it up. You're going to do great. No worries, Paris. And James says, I'm home tonight, but no airbrushing yet. I got to get some Higgins India ink. Yeah, definitely. So I can't wait. So that's good news. Always love your work. And as you can see, I can really come in right now. And then we can also make sure we get some really nice hard edges here. And especially with the hair, it really pays here and there to have hard edges. You don't want everything soft. And everything soft's just going to look really weird. Everything hard's going to look weird as well. But that combination of hard and soft edges is really going to make a big difference with getting those textures. And then I have my Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. And we're just going to go basically here and there. Let's see. And it's really fantastic how the Higgins India Ink reacts to erasing very well. And it's amazing the the hair textures that you can get in this late stage. But it's all setting it up. This whole technique, as you know, is all setting things up and sort of like playing chess. You know, you develop your pieces in the opening, and then you have your mid game where you go through your strategies, and then now the end game is when you bring everything together and ultimate victory, or ultimately a good portrait. So Rick says he airbrushed a little today. That's great. That's always fantastic to hear. That's the best. A day where we can do some artwork is a good day. So Wendy, how have you been? How you feeling? Wendy's doing this incredible portrait of a dog, 2 dogs, and I just love it. I just think it's fantastic. Hobby Lobby carries the inks, and they also have 40% off coupon for the highest price item. That's really cool. I went to Hobby Lobby for the first time last Tuesday. They don't have many here in New Jersey, so I think they opened one up in my area, and a good friend, she took me there. And I'll tell you, it was a lot of fun. It was like huge. I mean, I can't believe how many, how large it is. It's just unbelievable. Oh, so you started the red dog, Wendy. Wonderful. Oh, that's fantastic. And Wendy says, so you could use Hobby Lobby one for Michael's? No, well, for me, Hobby Lobby is so much more huge. I think you can fit 3 Michaels stores in there. It's like really unbelievable. And of course, remember the freehand shield. I always say go perpendicular and don't go parallel to the edge of the freehand shield. So it's very important to do that, because the reason why you're using the freehand shield is because you want to be able to create these beautiful edges and not a hard line, and then you got to match it. So always do it that way. I think it always is the best. So I did leave out some Blackbeard wheat for this occasion, and we're going to go ahead and utilize some of that right here. And you don't want to go too crazy with it, because we are using a dark mixture right now. And it's so nice when we're going darker like this because you just know that the payoff is coming up once we go in with that white pastel. Wendy says, I need to get Blackbeard wheat. I don't think anything replaces it. So true. Willie says, Tim, did you hear anything on the gunmetal paper? You know, it's really, I don't know if they're actually going to be carrying gunmetal anymore. I've been checking all the stores. Wendy has been checking and nothing. So that's definitely not good. If I'm going to be looking, this is my next goal, guys. I'm going to be looking for replacement paper. I'm going to do some, I'm not going to leave you guys out in the lurch. So I am definitely going to find us a replacement. I know there are many other cardstock papers out there, and I'm going to find something fantastic for us. So I'm on the job if we can't find any gunmetal. But if you do see that stores, buy it. That's all I can say, because it looks like I don't know what's going on right now. So we're just going to, but I am very keen on trying some new things by Canson. I know they have different types of papers, so that's going to be something I'm going to be working on rather shortly with that company. Okay, so you see how her skin is much darker than the fabric of her sleeve. So we're just going to go ahead and make a separation of that. And, you know, we'll do the freehand. Now, remember, guys, it's always tempting to go along the contour, but we don't want to do that. So let's see. So what we're going to do is we are just going to go perpendicular to the freehand shield. It's going to create a much more realistic edge, and you're not going to create an unrealistic edge, an unrealistic line between the light and the dark there. So I know I keep saying that over and over again, but it's so important. It is next level use of the freehand shields. Heath, good to see you. How's everything? Rick, good to see you. How's everything? Rick says, hey Tim, what's the largest airbrush piece you've done? A mural perhaps? Actually, the largest piece I have done is a 4 foot by 3 foot. And it's almost completed. It's of Persephone. A lot of times you'll see it on the wall. That is, I don't really have that much space, Rick. I would love to. But happy Wednesday, Heath. But it is, if I had more space and higher ceilings, I think I would work bigger. But I've always worked small. Rick, how about yourself? Are you like working big? Some people like it. I have a proclivity of working smaller. Paris says, trying to think where I can find it, Wendy. Oh, the Blackbeard wheat? The Blackbeard wheat you can get at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or even a floral decoration shop. And it's so dirt cheap, you know. Let's see. It's funny, you know, Wednesday night always creeps up on me. Always, always. You know, it's no matter what happens. What I'm going to do right now is I am going to get a fan because it seems like the warm weather is creeping upon us already. Doesn't that suck, guys? My kingdom for a USB port, right? I mean, it just seems like I could never have enough USB ports. I don't know why. So let me go ahead and put this fan in. And also, I don't want to run over my extension cord on this USB webcam. Okay. All right, so now I think we're okay. Let me see if the fan works. And let me know if that's causing any kind of sound issues or whatever. But it's just a little hot here. I'm going to fix this camera. Okay, I just want the camera to be better for you guys. Better angles. There we go. That's not a bad angle. What do you think? Is that a good angle, or do you guys like it lower? So Willie says that he's seen it on Amazon. Okay, cool. eBay. James says, thank goodness for hot weather. I'm a winter guy. I don't know. I think I should be living in Canada or something like that. I know I should be like really happy about the warmer weather, but now is the sound is the fan causing any issues with sound, guys? Because I just put the fan on. And what I'm doing is just working on this shadow edge here. And right here we have a beautiful hard edge from the cast shadow of her hand. And so let's see if we could go ahead and nail that. See that? We have that beautiful hard edge there from there. And then also we want to make sure that we separate the finger from the cast shadow. So the airbrush that we're using today is the Badger Extreme Patriot Arrow, and that is my favorite airbrush right now. Favorite because it's the one I use all the time. It has a 0.35 needle head assembly. You can tell I've been painting all day. Look at all the ink on my hands. So it has a 0.35 needle head assembly. It's really fantastic. One of the main things that is really beautiful about this is that you see how the needle comes out much further than other airbrushes. So even though it's a 0.35, that enables you to get so much more detail, guys. And it's just really amazing. And I just highly recommend this airbrush. And it's something that I'm using all the time, literally. So yes, Rick, it is definitely the airbrush that you say. Yes, exactly. Bill, how you doing? Look at that. I never get dirt on me, but you know, it's been a long day, a good day of airbrushing. So I probably did like a total of maybe 8 hours today of airbrushing. Finished a piece for sale, which is really good. And just, making sure that I put my work in, Bill says I got blood red and purple candy on me. Not so bad. Yeah, that's worse, Bill. That's for sure. Love the artwork that you're doing, sir. It's coming out really nice. Really, you're really on your game. So I love that. Love to see that. Okay, let's do some detail. Going in there. At least you have pretty colors on you, Bill. That's what Wendy says. That's funny. As you can see, I go at all different angles. As you work more, you're going to have your own weird ways of working. Do I recommend doing a sideways like this? No, but that's just what I do. You get your mannerisms. I'm sure you guys have done that with your own work. You find yourself doing things that no one teaches. Let's get some nice hard edges here. here is where you would do the parallel of the freehand shield. And then you can do some errant hairs, you know, coming like that. Maybe some over here. That's cool. Just, you know, creating interest. And Bill says, I'm a yes, you are. You're what is it? Technicolor Dream Coat, you know? And so let's see. And it's surprising how much control you have with a big gun like that. Oh, thanks, Rick. I appreciate that. This is, I really recommend, if you guys haven't picked up this airbrush yet, really go ahead and get it. It's just really a beautiful thing. So right now, let's go ahead and check real quick. So I'm going to show you some of my Tim technology here. Let me see if it works. So here we are at USAairbrushsupply.com, which is pretty good. And I'll show you guys where you could purchase this. And I also have a 10% off code. But I'll show you how inexpensive this airbrush is, which is really exciting. So we're going right here, which is the Badger Extreme Patriot. It's only $99. Plus, if you use the code timothypsa, it is $10 off. So you get it for like $90. I mean, it's really great. And what I recommend, though, if you look here, it has this high roller trigger. I don't recommend that high roller trigger. I recommend you just going ahead and purchasing a regular trigger, which you can do that, which is really fantastic. So what do you guys think? You know, I'm able to go to different websites, show you guys some stuff, which is really good. And so, did you guys see that and hear me while I went? And Jay, good to see you while I went to those different websites. I mean, went to USAairbrush.com. Let me know if it was any glitches or how it sounded and looked. But definitely use timothypsa, that code. That will give you 10% off. And that brings that all the way down to $90 for this airbrush that I am. Paris says, Tim, you are the man. Thanks. Appreciate it so much. So look at this, $90 you get this bad boy. I recommend getting yourself a Mac valve. The Mac valve is really fantastic. Raul, how you doing? How's it going? So James says, yeah, I saw it. That works great. Fantastic. So going to different websites really works here. And I can even take you to my website here, which is pretty cool. I can show you some of my earlier airbrush paintings. Here's one that I did not too long ago. Then here's another one that I did, some of the airbrush paintings that I've done in the past. Here's one, I don't do too many still lifes, but that was cherries. So yeah, so really cool. So that's some new stuff that I'm doing right now. Raul says, up in my skills. Yes, definitely going to that next level, you know, pushing it and basically giving you guys as much quality as possible. That's my main goal here. All right, so let's go ahead and separate that finger, index finger, from the cast shadow. It's very important because otherwise it's just going to be all sort of muted together, and you don't want that. You really want to feel that hand coming in front of Emma's face, you know. And again, you gain more control by going perpendicular, spraying perpendicular, than going parallel. Heath says, glad you're doing it, Tim. Glad to have you, Heath. You know, it's so great seeing you guys every week. Yeah, separate the finger. That does sound painful. Sorry, Emma, but I promise it's not gonna be painful. So as you can see, we bring that finger forward. And as we do that, let's continue bringing that forward. And we're just going to take our pencil sharpener. These pencil erasers, you know, they really go fast. Look how little. Pretty soon I'm going to be like, you know, really ridiculous. But, you know, it's like, you know, those who smoke, you know, my dad used to take the real little things of his cigarettes. And it's amazing. Yeah, but same thing. That's what I'm doing right now with this eraser. I'm holding on to it for dear life. So as you can see, we're pulling that finger forward. So that's my goal right now, is just bring that finger forward. And let's see if we can define that nail bed. Oh, I had my finger forward today a dozen times. That's what Bill said. And Wendy says you need a pencil extender. I heard of them. It's almost like, you know, those old movies where they had those pencil, what is that, cigarette holders, you know, the women in, you know, at the nightclubs would use. That's funny. And he says, what finger, Bill? That's hilarious. The Wind has them on Amazon. Very cool. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to check that out. So we're going to see that even though it kind of looks like Emma now, it's really going to come together. You know, really, really. So Penguin in Batman. So the Penguin in Batman. Now what about the Penguin in Batman? So as you can see, little by little, we're coming together. Oh, right, the cigarette holder. I'm a little slow sometimes, Paris, so that is very funny. Yes, he had that cigarette holder. That's true. How could I forget him? Oh my goodness. I'm usually pretty good with Paris. I'm usually pretty good with you know, pop culture. Evidently not this time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to start hitting some of these dark accents. See that? And you know what? Let's take out our liner brush and see if we could, you know, this is the end of the painting, so we definitely are, you know, want to move fast. We don't want to get hung up in one area too much. Okay, so let's see. There we go. Just getting some interest here. You know, I love that expression that, oh, what's this? Oh, look at that. Wendy is showing 3 for $4.49 pencil extenders. Very cool. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. Are you guys hearing any residual noise from that fan? Ever since I went ahead and moved to a desktop PC as opposed to a laptop, things have gotten much better sound-wise. And let's go back to her finger. There we go. The fan is soothing. But you guys can hear it? Uh-oh. Oh, cool. So no, fan is soothing. That's good. And Heat says sounds good. Great. Fantastic, guys. Thank you. You guys are my quality control. So you guys have to let me know. See how beautiful that we went a little dark right there? Which is pretty cool. So as you can see, we're just working on everything here. Let me So here's my setup. As you can see, I have my tripod with my DSLR camera. We have a 10 to 18 millimeter lens on there. That's the fan that you're probably hearing. Over here is my blue Yeti mic, and here's all my setups and my airbrush right here. And what we're going to do is, the edge on her finger was a little too dark, so we're just going to go ahead and there we go. And he says, I sleep with a fan on, soothing as well. That's pretty funny. Yeah, you know, sometimes you need that. Wendy says, awesome camera shots. You guys like it that I show, because I was reading in cinematography that it's important to show both the atmosphere as well as close-ups. So I think and with that being said, doing this angle here, I think what it does, it basically gives a feeling of you guys actually being in my studio than just watching this. So that's pretty cool. Oh, soft ox lights. Oh yeah. So basically these are by Limo Studio. They are studio lights, which are really fantastic, you know. Wendy says ADHD, change it up. Yes. And Heat says you got some serious lights there, Tim. Definitely. What a steal. About 2 years ago, I went ahead and purchased these for like $70. I got 2 of them. Really just fantastic. Paris says, love your studio space. I have taken over the dining room table. Yes. Claim that dining room table for yourself, Paris. Right? You know? A lot of times in my life, my studio was a dining room table. Some great artwork is being done there. So I'm glad. I'm glad that you're working, and you know, Paris, and it doesn't matter where you work, and as long as you're comfortable, and it's all about just enjoying yourself. This is actually my bedroom. My studio is actually the other end of the house, but I turned my bedroom, you know, of course, you know, it's, you know, where I sleep, but I also made it my YouTube studio, which is pretty cool. All right, so let's not neglect other parts of this picture here. So we have that cast shadow here, and what we're going to do is we're just going to crawl along. And Bill says he has a messy studio. It's nuts. And Wendy says, until you remove stuff for dinner. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm sure I remember when I was living with my mom and dad, I used the dining room. Yep. When dinner time, you know, that was when the studio was moved. But I'll tell you, the dining room table was one of my most fond studio spaces. So it's so important to really look at what's happening with those shadows. I know they're shadows, but there are changes going on. And so we're just going to blow some air on that and dry that off, because you never want to erase where it's dry, you know. And Rick says, phone call, be right back. Okay, Rick, no problem. Oh, Paris says we in on the sofa and the coffee table. Very cool. That's even better. So we just want to do some really soft, you know, soft, quiet details. Remember that, you know, in the light, details are loud, and in the shadows, details are quiet. So as you can see, we're doing some quiet shadow details. And then over here we have a nice hard edge. And a really hard edge right here. Just there we go. And then we can just continue moving around and see where we can sort of create more interest. Now, let's go ahead and work on some of those eyelashes with our liner brush here. And of course, what I do is I always wipe off excess ink. You don't want it too wet. You can do some hard edges here, and then we can do some light ones with the airbrush. There we go. And it's gonna go a long way with, you know, getting a feeling of Emma here. But this only works in the end, you know. You don't want to do detail like this anytime other than the end. It would just be counterproductive. As you can see. But it really goes a long way with getting the essence of her, which is beautiful. She's a beautiful young lady. There we go. Little things like that. And notice that when I'm using this liner brush, it's almost like I'm doing a dagger stroke. Oh, Bill says I need to sell something like yesterday, way slow right now. Boy, I hear you. You know, I hope you do sell something. Usually happens when you don't expect it, Bill. And you can see just moving around. Just working on the edge of her nose there. But wait till we come in with the white. I mean, it's really going to have an aha moment, guys. Okay, good thing to tell you. So yesterday I went ahead and, hey Mike, good to see you. How's everything? No, you're good. You are, Mike, only like, I would say you didn't even miss half of it. So we're here always till 11:30. So no problem, sir. So glad you're here. So congratulations, Bill. What happened? What did Bill do? Jake's the best. Jake, yeah, like the shark. So definitely, have you guys seen Jake's painting, which is of Clint Eastwood? That is really something. If you haven't, check it out. Really great, Jake. Inspirational there. And it's done with India Ink, so it's part of the movement. Let's get that really nice hard edge on Emma's hat here. Just bring that rim of the hat close. Get some of that texture. Right, guys? That's what we want. We really want all the textures coming together. And yes, Paris says it's therapy, keeps me calm in an insane world. That's for sure. Yes, so definitely you know, paint as much as you can, right? It's just beautiful. Okay, so going back to this. So yesterday I made a 3-to-3 mixture, and I painted up until maybe about 7 o'clock last night, and actually even later, maybe it was like 1 in the morning. So this morning I went and took out the same mixture, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go ahead, and I covered it. Maybe I'll go ahead and put that in my airbrush. And there were all these little dry ink pigments, so draw it out after you're done for the day, guys. Don't make that, because that's going to clog up your airbrush and just ruin everything. My guess is lost track of time working on one of his other computers. Hey, that's okay. You know, I know working on computers is sort of, it's easy to get lost with time there. Okay, so what we're going to do is just continue working on that hard edge here of her hat. Let's see. So we're able to go ahead and just continue moving around here. Things are moving a lot faster now. This is the sort of the culmination of it. I'm not going to finish the painting per se. I'm going to finish the series and then just continue it and then post it once it's done on Ink Flingers, our Facebook group. As you can see, we could really just continue making things look like the texture that they are. Okay, so we got some hairs going on here, so no better time like the present to take care of this sort of voided area here. Patrick, how you doing? Great to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. So it's great. So thank you so much, Patrick. Mike says, hey Tim, can you do a video on how to project your images to the paper? Yes, I am going to actually do that. Now, one of the reasons that I'm going to be able to do that in the future is that I went ahead and I'm able to do different camera lengths that are far away from the computer, so I can go and do a projection for you guys, and that would be just fantastic. So I definitely see the ability to go ahead and prepare some boards, show you how I prepare masonite, project. It's just going to be much better, so that's exciting. Patrick says, feeling good? Man, you're awesome. No, thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that more than you know. Thank you. Heat says, Tim, will you be darkening the cast shadow of her arm? It looks darker on the reference. So the cast shadow right over here, that's a very good question. I might, the only reason why I'm thinking not to, because it is darker on the reference, is I might make an artistic license decision to keep it light, because I don't want it to fight with her eyes. So that's the reason why I've been holding off. I might just at the end, but I'm not sure. But very good looking out, you know. Definitely, it's fantastic that you are always checking those values. And just moving. Okay, so we got to get back to here. And let's go ahead and start some of the lights here. And of course we can do that with our eraser. And we're going to go back in with the dark airbrush here. So tell me, what is your favorite airbrush right now? So everyone who is airbrushing, if you can, just name the airbrush that is your go-to airbrush as we are, you know, making this video here, this live stream. Heath says, I made a good point. It's just my own decision, you know. I think it's a good decision to go ahead and put that in there too, Heath. But right now I'm just holding off, you know. I might go in there. So right now we have Willie with the 2020 Slim. Can't go wrong with that. That's a beautiful airbrush. It's one of my go-to airbrushes. And Wendy, what have you been using more lately? Now I know that Jake's been using the 2020, the Sotar 2020, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so right now let's go ahead and just create some hair texture here. And we can do that with some quick little dagger strokes. And let's make sure that we have our freehand shield here. This way we give the appearance of that hair going underneath her. Okay, Raul, the Olympus SPB. I heard good things about it. How do you like that, Raul? And Bill says, yes, he's an Iwata guy. I see Bill's been using the Eclipse, the HP CS. I've been seeing you using that lately. Okay, so every once in a while you'll get, sometimes when you're airbrushing all day, that ink or paint will be coming out before you pull back, and that happens, you know. So when that happens, you just want to check and make sure that the needle is seated correctly, and that's what we're going to do here. Just get your artwork, always get your artwork away from the airbrush when you're doing stuff like that. And we're just going to pull back and pull back in. See if that continues. And we're going to make sure that this is loosened. Okay. So that seemed to have solved the problem. So that is good. So I'm going to use this as an intermission time. So guys, don't go away. Talks amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Okay, so I hope I'm not interrupting any good conversation. Probably a lot better than when I was painting before. So thank you so much for, I had to go do something, and so, you know, biologically. So that's cool. So, okay, so let's go back to working on her hair. And I could use this freehand shield here just to create some nice hair textures. Let's go ahead and get the Blackbeard wheat and see if we could just do some random movement here, which really helps. And you can see I'm really getting some really good hair texture here. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys. And let's see if I can pull this finger forward over here. And I think it's a little bit behind. Let's see, where is my other freehand shield here? So yes, so we want to bring this finger forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to darken the edge next to that contour here, and that's going to help bring it forward. Same here. We're going to find the contour with the freehand shield, and we're going to darken. See, we make this finger come forward by what we darken next to it. Brad, good to see you. How are you? Thanks so much for coming by, my friend. Okay, so let's get our eraser. And we're going to lighten this finger. So is the sound, everything okay, guys? You're hearing everything fine, all of that? Now, we have to continue working on this finger to bring it forward on the other side as well as on this side. Ah, great, Brad. So great to see you. I'm so glad you're back. Yes, Parrot, those mono erasers are really fantastic. Oh, Bill says, when am I going to paint something furry? You know, I can probably tell you in my whole life I must have painted maybe 3 or 4 animals. You know, it's just, I don't know, it's not something I gravitate towards, Bill. Maybe because I'm not good at it, perhaps. I don't know. It's just, you know, I think what you do is amazing, Bill. And, you know, Kiva, good to see you. How are you? That is so fantastic. Okay, so we were working on this finger and darkening the other side, which is right here. There we go. And see how we go ahead and darken both sides of that finger. Let me put the backing back on my Patriot Extreme. So you see how easy it was to fix that Patriot Extreme because that happens when you're working all day. You're going to have little clogs or whatever, but that was very easy to fix. And I'm working on a low pressure. So, okay, so let's go ahead and there we go. And you see how just doing that sort of brings that finger forward. Same thing here. Go. And then over here we could bring this finger forward a little bit by just darkening that cast shadow. Bring that second finger up a little bit. And this sort of has this finger which comes down here. Let's see. There we go. There we go. We got some interesting cast shadows going on here. There we go. Now we can maybe darken this area here underneath her hand. Sort of bringing out the anatomy of her knuckles here. Same here. And take your time until you find the contour that you're looking for. Never rush this. Now, if you guys have any questions, I don't see it while I'm working, just let me know that you have a question and I'll make sure that I answer it. So definitely, if I'm working, I won't be able to see your question, but please ask it again, or let me know. Lance, take it easy, man. So great to see you, Lance. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great evening. Okay, so we definitely can darken this area here. So what we're working on right now is we're working with that 2-to-1, that's 2 drops of India ink to 1 full eyedropper of water, which is a big difference from the 3-to-3 that we start out. So we went at equal strength in the very beginning, and now we're doing a 2-to-1 ink to water mixture. So that's really good. So working with this is a little, you got to be a little bit different with this. You got to be careful with this particular mixture, you know. Kiva says the image is blurry. Oh, that's a good thing. That means that it's your connection. So I would go ahead and maybe change the resolution. Kiva, that should fix it. So definitely do that. That should do it. Or refresh the screen. That happens. Okay. See if we can work on her now here. There we go. Now, so I think now is as good a time as any to go ahead and start with the white pastel. So this is the rub. This is where it all comes together here, guys. So let's go ahead and make this happen. It is 10:30, so what I'm going to do, since it is 10:30, I'm going to go ahead and reauthorize this here. Let's make this happen. 10:30, I always have to reinitialize the chat. I don't know why, but every week. Okay, so now I can see you guys again, which is pretty cool. Do I know what size the needle is? Well, the needle that comes with the Slim is a 0.21, 0.21 head needle assembly, which is, you know, really good for detail. That's for sure. Mike says smaller than you. Mike, smaller than you though. I don't know any other sizes it can come with. Let's see. All right, so we were going to go back in. We were going to go in with the white. So what I'm going to do is use the sharpener here. Get a nice sharp point. Okay, and let's start. I like starting with the eye. It's always nice. Just like that, things start looking alive. And we also have our stumps dedicated to white. It means you never want to use this if you are ever going to use it for white. You never ever want to use it on regular graphite. But this is why you stick around, because as if those who are with me knows that when you're doing this technique, this is the payoff. This brings it all together. Gaston is incredible, that's for sure. Gaston knows his stuff. There we go. Wendy says this is when Tim breathes life into his drawings. Thanks, Wendy. I appreciate it. You guys can too. You know, this technique it's proven, it works. Now, since I painted in pastel for most of my life, you know, you just want to, you know, learn how to use it, you know. Sotar needles, 0.21, 0.25, and 0.31. Thanks for that, Heath. I appreciate it. What we're doing now is we're just building the light now. We built the... So basically in the beginning with this technique, we're building the midtones. And then, but we're also building relationships with those midtones. Keep everything in the, maybe from 4 to, you know, maybe from 3 to 5 as far as value. And then at the end we come in and get the really dark values. And then we're going to put in the highlights. And then after that we're going to go ahead and start popping things with the dark accents. So Mike says, Tim, I noticed you had white highlights on the first video drawing. Do you do that on every portrait? Yes, definitely. This is definitely the technique. Oh, you mean when I first started? Yeah, well, I do. Sometimes they're just indicators in the very first stage. They're going to go away. That's just indicating, you know, where some of the major landmarks on the image will be. Paris says, Tim, could you do a real-time video on drawing like the old masters where the gray of the paper is the midtone? I saw a speed-up version of a speed-up version, but it was too fast for me. Yes, well, this basically, what we're doing is similar to that, but definitely I could do that, yes. Wendy says, I put a time-lapse YouTube video on slow motion settings. Look at that. That's interesting. I never thought of that, Wendy. That's pretty smart. And just using the stump. So the more you press in on the white, it's going to take off some of that white. So you're able to manipulate the white. And now we can actually go ahead and move around like we have been. We can even do some hairs. Same here. We have some really nice blast of light here on her forehead. And I like to do maybe a little bit of an accent here because what I can do is sort of really pull up the hair, give a real... It's not necessarily what I see, it's just what I want to pronounce or accentuate. We have the ability to accentuate what we want. This is ours, so it's really cool. Let's see here. Just moving around, get the anatomy of her eye here. There we go. Right here we have the cast shadow of where her nose is. And there we go. Let's see where else we can move around. Right here. There we go. See how her eyes are starting to really pop and come to life, guys. Now when you see, you know, okay, that's a little ardent here, a little strong, we can just tap that a little bit. Same thing. Okay, so let's keep moving around. There's a blast of light right here. And that's also going to bring her fingers forward, I think. There we go. And let's go ahead and see if we can work on this hand. Yes, Bill. Some people do enjoy. It's a phenomenon. I think the reason why a lot of the speed paintings work is because it's very little investment. You can see a whole painting go down in 2 minutes, right? Uh, Mike S says I watch videos with music in them. I just stop and go to the next video. I hate the music. Okay. Yeah, I can understand your point of view on that, Mike. And I'm going to calm down the light on those fingers in a moment. Just want to make sure that I extend that light. Same thing right here. Okay, so let's take our there we go. Her hand is pretty important in this portrait. And we just want to make sure we get that correct. Same thing with this hand. We can break out our fabric pen here, which is really great to get these really fine lines here. There we go, just like that. There we go. Heath says, Tim, some of the music you use is great. Thank you, Heath. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I do use a service called Epidemic Sound, which is really great. So the sound is a little higher quality. Thanks, Heath. I appreciate that. And we got to calm down that white here. Just different ways of bringing one finger. Now, what I can do, I like the white the way it looks on that nail there, but let's calm that down by just tapping with a kneaded eraser. And you see we can do that. Just calm it down a little bit. There we go. Now where you see a crease like that, on the other side of the crease you're going to see a light. Almost always. Let's go ahead and work on the light of this hand here, of her hand. There we go. Steve, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. And thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Bill says it's hard to find good music to fit to a song. Thousands of way through, most are very, very bad. Yes, Epidemic Sound is great. I highly recommend it. It's like $10 a week or something like that. No, $10 a month. And it's all copyright free, so that's pretty cool. Check that out, Bill, if you get a chance. Wendy says sometimes... Wendy says, I look up to artists. It's hard to on Tim's music and listen to it when I'm, oh, thanks, I appreciate that. So it's hard for me to go back and read the comments because it keeps going back. So sorry if I missed anyone's comment. Always feel free to ask again, because if I didn't see it, because I mean if I didn't answer it, it's definitely because I didn't see it while working. And we still got to do that same, that same theory, working method of moving around, which is so important. Let me break out the glove because I don't want to mess up the hard work that I did. So let's go ahead and take this one. Now you want to be careful with using this fabric pen by Fons and Porter. Reason being is that this you don't have the ability to blend as easy as with the pastel. There we go. Get that beautiful fine line there. But we're bringing that forward, right? We want to work on all the textures. There we go. So you see that brim of the hat's coming forward. A lot of things are really starting to come together. So Steve says we're all just blowing air. Tim, no worries. Go and let's see. We have sort of a like a straw hat type of texture here. I might just go ahead and indicate that a little bit. Why not? Just have fun, you know? That's what it's all about. You don't gotta invent a wheel. And we're just continuing moving around and just really bringing things together. Main thing is really what's more important in photorealism is really getting a sense of who your model is, your subject. It's not just reproducing light and dark. It's not just, getting to look as much like the photograph. It's about that, but it's also about having something to say about the model. Your impression. You don't have to know the person to have an impression upon them and to share that impression. Now, I think we might be able to lighten the nose here with the eraser. If not, we're just gonna use the pastel pencil. Very lightly, very light pressure. When you're using a pastel pencil, you're going to look at the pressure that you put on the paper with the pastel pencil, very similar to pulling back very little bit with the airbrush. Just want to kiss the paper, gentle. Don't worry whether it looks like the photograph. He says here, I'm doing a 6x6 of a hummingbird, ink and golden iridescent paints. Wow, cool. Steve says, why are you doing with that stump? Basically, just controlling the amount of pastel that I'm putting on the surface. The more you rub with that stump, the more that the pastel is going to become assimilated with the paper. And even when you rub harder, it just sort of goes away. So it's your way of actually, really, really creating the values that you want. Now, there are also times where, let's say, rubbing, you have a lot of pastel on the surface, that rubbing might not be enough, so then you can just go ahead and tap with the kneaded eraser and that will remove it even more, but not in a harsh way. Okay, so let's do some of the payoff with the fabric here. Fabric looks a little weak as far as 3 dimensions, but this is going to solve that right away because we worked on this together. Throughout the whole thing, we're setting up for now. And then we'll also go ahead and be able to put in some of those darks as well. We definitely don't ever want to compete with here. This is where our focus is. So if we find that this gets a little crazy, we can calm that down. So that's very important. And we're just going to continue moving over here. Here we have a blast of light here. And let's calm that down just a little bit. I'm never ceasing to move around in this stage. Do some of these lighter hairs. Sometimes you get a little ardent here and there, and you just gotta erase. You definitely don't want to overdo it. It's easy to, so you want to really be on guard for overdoing it with the white. See right here, it's a little strong, stronger than I like it to. Then right here, can work on the crease of this hand. It's always a little bit lighter right next to the edge of that cast shadow. It's called a field effect. It really has nothing to do with anything as far as light and shade go. It's a field effect. It's an illusion. When a dark is next to a light, it sort of creates this in-between tone there. And you see how that made that look more realistic, but it really wasn't there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our liner brush here, and we're going to go ahead and do some fine line details just here and there. As you can see, we're really getting to the point where it's starting to look like Emma, which I'm happy with. And that's what we want. We want a portrait. We want something that's going to capture the essence of her, of whoever you're painting. I'm actually going to be needing a new liner brush. The hairs are starting to go a little crazy on me. I am going to probably need a lighter color. And I think this one is my 3-to-3 mixture. Let's see. Yeah, this is definitely my 3-to-3 mixture, and it's much better when I'm working on details such as here. Any questions, guys, feel free to ask while you have me. And you just want to make sure that you don't leave any areas that are voided, which is very important. So, hey, Exoneration, how you doing? Good to see you, man. Alan, how you been? Okay. So you just want to make sure that you are getting the edges that you want at this stage of the game. Edges is everything when it comes to really getting a sense of three dimensions. I can give a flying you-know-what about whether it looks like a photograph. I just want it to look really really three-dimensional. Steve says paint goes right over those pastels, Tim. Yeah, I don't usually go over it though. I mean, there's no problem with that. But this is the this is the last stage when I go in with the white pastels. Steve, it's that's it. I'm really not going to be going over it with any ink, maybe just a little tiny details. But there's no weird side effects or anything like that, which is really fantastic. I really feel that pastel and airbrush really meant to go together. They really complement one another really nicely. So definitely it's a very good thing. So let's go ahead and go back with our airbrush here. And let's go back to the folds here. So we are at 1106. So we're doing pretty good. I think we really got a handle on this portrait and we're able to, do this from start to finish. I think there was a lot to learn here and it just was a really good tutorial. Let's see here. So do me a favor, ask questions about the painting, guys, because this is a golden opportunity. I don't want you to miss out. And let's work on this edge work over here. Oh, so exoneration, Alan. Let me have your question. Sorry about that. Ask it one more time for me. Let's see if I can find it, Alan. Let's see. Looking for your question here. Oh, okay. So you're asking about the camera setup. Okay, cool. I actually have three cameras, Alan. I have this one right here, which is this one right here. This is my DSLR, which is a Canon SL2. And then I have this one right here, which is a little webcam. It's the Logitech. I think it's the 930. And then I have a third one, which is right here, which is really cool. And this is the 920. So I have you know, a really nice 3-camera setup right now, and looking forward to getting another camera when money comes back. So, which is really cool. And they're all hooked up to my XSplit software, and so it just, and then I'm able to actually show you guys different websites. So I can show you, let's say, a portrait drawing I worked on way back when, so you guys could see that, or, you know, so it's really cool. I'm really getting into the nitty gritty of this particular program, which is really cool. Mike says, well, just search for, okay, I'm not sure what, okay, so let's see here. Oh, I'm out of paint. Okay, so this is a golden opportunity for me to go ahead and put in a lighter mixture, which is my 3-3, because right now I think I did all my dark accents. I'm going to go ahead and put that 3-3 mixture in here and fire this up. There we go. I have a nice lighter mixture, so I can go ahead and just work on some of these shadow areas here, and then I'm going to come in with the white pastel and sort of bring in this, because this is kind of an important area because it's coming forward. You know, it's kind of real close to us. I don't want it to be, of course, something that is, you know, accentuated, but we do have to give that illusion that it is coming forward. There we go. Work on that edge right there. Let's see if we could pull this out a little bit. There we go. Now let's go ahead and see if we can do the same here. Oh, my guest says, every time I watch Tim, I learn and get discouraged at the same time. Well, thanks for the learning part, but, you know, never get discouraged. And, you know, it's all about our personal journey, Mike. And, you know, people like me are always here to help you. And, you know, there's always, you know, every one of us, we all see the beauty and the genius in others, but in ourselves we always see the flaws. I think that was a quote by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, 19th century English painter. And so yeah, you're not alone. We all get discouraged sometimes when we look at other artists' work, but that's just natural. But you're doing great, Mike, and just keep it up, you know? Just keep it up. Alan says, does the needle taper make the difference? Like, for instance, 2 needles, but one with 1/16 taper and 1/8 taper. Well, I'll tell you what. I talked to Ken, the head of Badger, and one of the reasons why I like this particular airbrush. Let me change the focus here. One of the reasons why I love this particular airbrush is the detail. Now this is a 0.35, so you would think with a 0.35 detail you wouldn't get that much. But what Ken has said is that the detail comes from how far out this needle comes out of the head assembly there. And it's true, and so it has that long taper. So even as a 0.35, I can get as good as a 0.21 or even a 0.18 needle head assembly. So that's, it really makes a difference, Alan. Yeah, exactly. So it really has to do with the tapering, Alan, that's for sure. All right, so we're just going to continue. We're going to concentrate on this shoulder here. We'll bring this home, concentrating on this shoulder. All right, so we're going to go back in with the white pastel, and we're going to go. We want to pull this forward. Actually, right here, we have a hard line. Same thing right here. Oh, no problem. So I'll definitely go ahead and message you a little bit later there, Alan, that's for sure. So I can help you if you have any tech questions. All right, so let's see here. Over here we have a little bit of a lighter area. And let's look for some blasts of light here. Since we are finishing up, we're just going to just see where we could really get a sense of what the light is doing as a whole. So looking at this as a whole, I see that pretty much everything is sort of right here. This is where my focus is. As far as our largest area of light is over here. But it's good that we kind of de-emphasize that. We bring it forward. What I'm going to do is off camera, I'm going to go ahead and resolve this area. A little more detail than I thought originally was. We do have some light over here. So let's go ahead, because we do have some areas of light here I want to address. And first we can do that with this mono eraser. See that? And then we can come in with some white pastel. And we have some little hair strands coming out here. Be surprised how much just something as simple as that can lead to just getting a better sense of her in three-dimensional space. I really like the fine lines you can get with this mono eraser. Yes, it is the mono zero eraser, Alan. It's really fantastic. If you don't have one, I highly recommend it. Mike S says, Tim, do you use the needle limiter on your brush or all finger control? Yes, all finger control. I never use that thing. You know, I try to, I guess I never want anything to impede my ability to maybe push back more or something like that. So I definitely held off on that. One of the things, you know, of teaching myself the airbrush, you know, I did have a lot of people helping, but, you know, I did study, took 2 classes with Jonathan Pantaleone, and so that helped me with the airbrush, and I studied some videos. David Morton, one gentleman who was fantastic. He answered a lot of my questions. There was really no YouTube videos when I started 5 years ago. Not as much as there is now. So I had to do a lot of the learning on my own. But the best teacher is practice, right? And just get in there. Drew Blair was nice enough to answer a lot of my questions in the early days. Uh, Cass Fuller was amazing. He was fantastic. Uh, so you know, hey, if it helps you, Mike, definitely use it. I don't look down on it. I just think that just practice. Know your airbrush. Become one with it, and that will help you more than anything. Okay. All right. So let's go back with our white pastel pencil here. Steve says, "What are you working on as ground, Tim?" Oh, okay, cool, good question. This is a paper by De La Rowney, which is really getting hard to find. It's called Canford Cardstock, and the color here is gunmetal. It's really good. It has some texture, so it's not like vellum or anything. So it does have some tooth to it, but it is still relatively smooth, and I can do many layers of ink and still not have too much warping. You have to know the paper. One of the good things about the paper and working on paper is that you get a lot less spidering because the paper is absorbent, so that helps a lot. So as you can see, we're pulling up some of this white area here, some of the light that's hitting her hair. Now I can go and work on this hair for days, and since we're at the end of the video, I'm gonna pretty much call it done. Finish it off camera as far as the hair. But as you can see, maybe we could have a little more of a blast of light right here. So I'm just going to maybe hit more light here on this area of her hat. And where else? Right about here, we can have a little blast of light here. There we go. It's good to have a blast of light that is like in same line with our highlight there. It'll just give a little feeling of depth. Well, when I finish with an airbrush, this is what my guest is saying, set up all the way, I will have to put 8 hours a day in practicing. Definitely. As much as you can, Steve Johnson says, okay, that's the same question. Okay, Steve, cool. So I almost answered the same question twice. Sorry about that, guys. Work the highlight here. And just tap that. Let's take this fabric pen here. There we go. Right here, this light here is a little ardent, so we'll just calm that down. And he says, so pastel ink and synthetic paper don't mix. Any other suggestion as to highlights other than pastel? Well, definitely. You can do a lot of different things for highlights. You can even, which work pretty well, which you can use the De La Rowney White Bamboo India ink with a paintbrush, and you can do that. That will work. I would do some tests first to see how it reacts to the paper that you're using. But yeah, definitely you can do that. One of the nice colors that I use is Zinc White by Golden, and that's an acrylic with their fluid acrylics. You can do that, and that you can thin out, and you can get, you know, a large variety of different techniques as far as lighting. Bradley, have a great night, man. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for coming by. Hope to see you next week. All right, so now we are sort of putting in the finishing touches of this demonstration. The painting, of course, is not done, but the demonstration is. So right now you can see I'm at the point where it's just, you know, tweaking everything, doing some details here and there. You know, whenever you look at your painting and something stands out, and it's not your, and it's not what exactly you're, you know, you want to focus on, and you see that once you look at your painting, you want to get rid of that because that means it's taking up too much attention. If it's not your focus and that's what you're seeing when you look at it, get rid of it or de-emphasize it greatly. You don't want to just copy photographs for the sake of copying photographs. There's no human emotion in that. So, you know, try and get away from that as much as possible. And Bill says, I gotta get that video out on embracing and learning the blue shift. Yeah, definitely. Blue shift can kick you in the butt. What I recommend is if you're working, you know, I work in color. I don't work in color on my live streams anymore, but definitely you have to test it out. You know, how does orange work with blue? How does purple work with, orange work with white? How does purple work with white? And they all have different like chemical reactions, so it is very important to do a test before you even touch your artwork when adding white. I don't care if somebody was painting for 50 years, you're not going to quite know what it's going to do. And you definitely, I even find that something's more transparent. A lighter color is more transparent, will be totally different when you go ahead and put that over a darker color. Steve says, I found this quite interesting, Tim. Thanks so much. Totally not my technique, but very interesting. Oh, you're welcome, Steve. You know, there's always different ways to do it. And maybe down the line you'll be working and you'll be like, Tim used India ink, and he'll come to you and for some reason you'll be like, I want to, you know, I saw what Tim did and, you know, it just worked. So, you know, it's always good to have that in your repertoire, you know, of just, you know, watching how other artists do things. Now, why I like this paper as opposed to the lighter color, which is the Dreadnought Gray that I work on, this color is blue as it already is blue, and you have very little blue shift, a lot less than if I was working with the lighter color, which was the Dreadnought Gray. Now he said, thought about trying some clear blue base before the white. I think what you could probably do is definitely test it out before you even go on your artwork, and and check with that blue base, see how that works. Check with an orange base. I know when I was working, now even when you're working not only a blue shift, but if you're working with a lighter color, you still have to see there's going to be some sort of chemical reaction, a lighter color over a darker color. Bill says there are a few reasons for the blue shift phenomenon, but the biggest issue has to do with how the light is filtered as it passes through. Very good point. So that's great. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. All right, so now we're just going to continue. Now, like I said, I can work another hour just, tweaking her hair here. But as you can see, you don't have to go ahead and do every hair and just, kill it to death. You can basically work structurally and, work on the hair as a whole and then go into these little details here. Because the hair is a three-dimensional form in space as a whole, and then like a forest, right? The forest has a whole, and then it has the individual. A broccoli crown has one big shape and how it's affected by light, and then all the little flowers within that crown, and that's the same thing with the hair. So you want to get that broccoli crown first, and then you want to get the forest first, the clump of trees, and then the individual trees, and then the leaves. You don't want to do it the other way around. You don't want to start doing individual little flowers on a broccoli. So look at it that way, guys. Mike says, can you add a color to black? Oh yeah, definitely. So the thing is, when you're airbrushing, when you put a lighter color over a darker color, depending on a lot of different variables, you could have totally different chemical reactions. And a lot of times that reaction will translate itself in this grayish color, which is really horrible and ugly. So this is where we are, and we're going to call this done as far as the live stream. I'm going to finish it up, and I'm going to put her up on ink flingers when I'm done. So this is it. So thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, IM me. Next week we're going to do a brand new project, a new portrait. Not sure what it's going to be, but it's going to be really exciting. Thank you so much. Remember, the best teacher is practice. So put in the hours whenever you can. When you're not airbrushing, do what I do, which a lot of times I was stuck at my job and I was bored out of my mind. And Raul, thank you so much. And so basically, I just pretended to airbrush, did the motions and, took my airbrush apart, put it back together when I wasn't at a compressor. So that's some things that you can do. So thank you so much, guys. And Mike, my guest, thank you so much for coming. Everyone, Kiva, I really appreciate you guys. Bill, Wendy, take care of yourselves.